I think it just goes back to these things are what's natural is my thought. What's been around, what has stood the test of time. I'm a big believer in the Lindy theory, and the Lindy theory essentially states that if something has been around a long time, its likelihood is to continue being around. So I like that aspect of it, and it's kind of my belief. We wanted to start with the hard coded elements that it will not change. Like it will still be a thing to have lots of windows and see trees and nature in your yard.
What if I told you that wellness in housing doesn't start with smart tech, cold plunges, or six-figure upgrades, but with sunlight, trees, and thoughtful design choices that actually lower the cost of living? Today on the Real Estate Roundtable, we're diving into one of the most important conversations in housing right now: how to bring wellness, beauty, and long term value into homes priced for real people, not luxury buyers. My guest today is Ryan Heinrich, founder and CEO of Sunworth Homes, a Central Florida developer redefining what entry level housing can be. Ryan's work recently earned a Best Kitchen Under 400K award at the Marion County Parade of Homes. And what's fascinating is how he achieved it without abandoning attainable price points. If you're a buyer, builder, investor, or agent who wants to understand where housing is headed and how wellness may be the next true market differentiator, this is an episode you do not want to miss. Ryan, welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable.
Thanks, Lancelot. Happy to be here.
Ryan, tell me a little bit. What was that moment that made you realize the industry was overcomplicating wellness in housing?
Yeah. I live in a home that is very traditional, designed in a neighborhood that focuses on it's a new urbanism type neighborhood. So think front porches, a lot of outdoor living, historic design standards. And I go to a lot of wellness conferences. I looking around at what the different trends are. And I think the focus has been pretty heavy on what I call wellness appliances. Think of red light therapies and cold plunge and devices that they can sell you online that are going to give you an instant gratification and very shareable, very social type things. But the reality is, people are living in homes that really don't embrace what wellness means. And so, living in my own home, which was a custom home build, and we focused on a tremendous amount of natural light. I lived in a D.R. Horton home prior. And when I was moving to my new home and acquired this lot, my friend who's an architect and has done a lot of custom homes, he said, go home and do a window count. And I said, okay. And I had a pretty decent sized home, 3,800 square feet. And he said, you're going to have less than 20 windows. And I said, no way, man. I've got 3,800 square feet of windows. And I went home and counted, and 3,800 square feet of living space. I went home and I counted, and I had 17 windows. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And my house today, not substantially larger in a square footage basis, but we have 53 windows. And
Wow.
the space feels 2x larger. And we were able to create focal points on trees outside of the home and different things. When you think of a production builder, whether it's a D.R. Horton or anybody else in the space, they're taking that same exact floor plan, no matter the neighborhood, and they're just dropping it on lots. They don't care what what the features are, where you're seeing through that home into the backyard. And they're not looking at focal points. They're dropping these floor plans on lots, willy-nilly almost. Just how many can we get into the neighborhood? And they're thinking about more of compressing and optimizing the land from a unit count as opposed to a livability perspective. So
Okay.
I wanted to take that. I was already building homes, doing quite a few homes. I've built 400 since the year 2020. And last year, I made the decision that I wanted to incorporate how I was living into a home that would be at an affordable price point and really democratize that feeling that I was getting of lots of natural light, looking at nature as opposed to scraping lots clear and you see these new subdivisions, Lancelot, and they look like Mars. It's just a full moonscape. They take and nuke all the trees, and they come back and plant little sticks in the ground. And that allows them to jam as many homes as possible into the space, as opposed to focusing on how somebody's living experience is going to be. So we set out to do that. I set out to do that in a small package, in a 1,400, 1,500 square foot package. And I would say that was the watershed moment, was really doing that count on my windows and saying, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. Took the 1,500 square foot box that had the 6 windows and we increased that to 18. Massive change to the occupant. So I set out to do that as a step one, but that was the watershed moment.
Awesome. And would you consider that something that we were talking about DR and all the other builders out there? Did you consider that being what they're getting consistently wrong about healthy living is that they're not looking outside and not looking inside as well, with the light coming in and you looking at something natural outside that will make you feel good?
Yeah, it's consistent across almost every major builder, especially in a price point that's, let's say, sub 500,000-600,000. You really need to get into $1 million price point before the builders care about those things. And it usually ends up being a custom home builder who understands that, and they're trying to differentiate from the nationals. The nationals have instead taken this perspective of energy efficiency, and that's something that they can just translate on a mass market scale and say, okay, your light bill is going to be $50 cheaper because of what we're doing. So there is this climate benefit, there is this energy efficiency benefit. How does that affect you as a person? It more focuses on your pocketbook instead of your living experience. So if your HVAC unit is operating more efficiently, that might not really be impacting your life. Whereas if you have a filter that focuses on clean air, which we are doing on our homes, you're going to see that the air quality substantially improves. And that's something that might affect you more.
For sure.
They're still going to figure out how to make the one window in the bedroom a little bit smaller and value engineer it, instead of saying, what if we doubled the windows in this house? How would that affect people? We know it's going to affect them negatively on a costing perspective. So they don't do it. It's out of the question.
Gotcha. And why did you commit to the 300 to 350K price range instead of moving upwards?
Yep. My thought process was, why does healthy lifestyle and wellness in your home, why is that only reserved for the wealthy people? And when you're looking on Instagram and all these things, all these wellness driven homes are all beautiful homes that are, I guess you could say, aspirational. And most people won't have the opportunity to live in that type of home. So rather than aspirational, we wanted to go attainable. And I was already building homes in this price point, maybe one deviation below. And I just started saying, what if we do this? What if we do this? And what if we add windows? What if we save the trees on the lot? What if we put a front porch on every home that's usable, not just a small thing where you can't really enjoy that? What if we made it a true outdoor living space? So we started iterating on the product we were already doing and saying, how can we keep this in a price point that is attainable, that the average person who's buying their first home can say, instead of $275,000, if I pay $315,000, I can have this completely different living experience. And we know that not everybody's going to want that. A lot of people are just literally shopping on price, but we think that people are getting more health and wellness focused. And if you're just shopping on price, sure, you can buy the red light therapy, you can buy the cold plunge and put it in your backyard. But if you really want to have a completely transformational living experience, you can step up one tier from very entry level and you can still get that. So we discovered that we could do that. And we're trying to push on that as much as possible and see what else we can pack into that house that's going to change that living experience. So as we tested the market, we closed 4 of these last year. I have 6 in construction. 2 are the next iteration of that, where we're bringing in patterns of nature inside the home in the form of a lot of tile and light fixtures and things like that. So the next iteration is happening. but we really wanted to keep it attainable. I didn't want to be it's another guy building multi-million dollar wellness driven homes. I think it's a crowded space that a lot of people can afford that. What about the masses of people who say, I'd love to have that? I'm never going to actually live in that.
I like that you're thinking about the people when you're doing this. I love that mindset. And we talked a little bit about before the show about affordable housing. Now, this is affordable for the average person. And I think it counts for a lot in our business that we think about the average person too, to get similar, if not close to what the multi-million dollar buyers get. Maybe it's not the size of the home, but to get the features. Exactly. So walk us through the thinking behind the award-winning kitchen. What mattered the most?
Yes. The thought process was we lived healthier 100 years ago, and people were just generally healthy. Like I have grandparents that have into their 90s, and they weren't doing all these techniques you're seeing. They weren't getting all these different therapies. They were just living healthier. And what were they doing? They were cooking at home. They were hanging out on their front porch. The windows on the homes were completely different. I'm sitting here in my office is a 1924 Craftsman home that we converted to an office. And so you see window casings, heavy amounts of trim, but lots of glass in the homes. So we just said, what were people doing 100 years ago? And these homes were actually fairly simple. They looked better. They had a classic look to them, but it wasn't packed with all these wellness appliances. They didn't have all that, but they cooked at home a lot. So I thought about the kitchen as a gathering place and a place that we wanted to make very conducive to cooking, to storage, and thinking through that process and how everyone's just doing Uber Eats or they're going out to dinner. It's not a great lifestyle. It's convenient, but a lot of the homes today in a, call it 300K price point, the kitchen space is just not even conducive to cooking. It's actually, you don't even want to be in it. It's dark, it's cramped, there's no storage. And so it's almost like pushing you to eat out. So what we did was we focused on making sure that the kitchen had ample space. So the kitchen's pretty large. The sink is right in front of a window. So if you're spending time at the sink, which is one of the places where the most time is spent in the kitchen, you're actually looking out a window. We're trying to get the position the home to have a focal point where you might be looking at a tree in the backyard that was saved, as opposed to just looking at the back of your neighbor's concrete block home. So a lot of it has to do with lot selection that actually like bleeds backwards into the kitchen. We do a fire clay farmhouse ceramic sink on every home. This is a kitchen sink that you won't see unless you're really at $1 million price point, or it's an add-on change order if you're building with a production builder. That's just going from a $200 undermount sink to a $550 epic fire clay ceramic sink, but nobody's doing that. So that's like step one. A large single basin has that fire clay sink in there. That's something that everybody loves. It's just people walk in and they're like, I love this sink. Of course you love it because it's in $1 million homes, but we made the conscious decision to bring it into a 300K home. Our island has double-sided kitchen cabinets. And so there's a lot of storage space on the backside where you would place stools. Underneath that, there's storage for holiday dishes and things that maybe aren't used all the time that you're just not seeing in a 300K price point. So we're doing that. There's a pantry that's dedicated, that's separate in-wall closeted door style pantry. And then quartz is a standard for us. So not even granite, not Formica, we're going quartz. So we're just packing in those finishes, and then the kitchen's fully equipped. So all your appliances are included right out the door. I absolutely hate it when you see a brand new home and there's a gap where the refrigerator is. And it's like, you really couldn't just do the extra $1,500, $1,600 to get a refrigerator with a nice water filter that's going to provide you clean water. And you couldn't do that. So we wanted to just make it all turnkey, but make it a place that's centered in the home. And right next to the kitchen, we have a dining space that it's next to the slider going out to the back. But instead of your standard 6-foot slider, we did a 9-foot. So you have 3 huge panels. The area is just fully lit. You don't even need the lights on during the day, as opposed to a lot of kitchens that are just dark and dingy and you don't even want to be in the space. This is a place it's beckoning you to hang out, and it's conducive for cooking at home. And so it's not really a big secret. It's just the way things used to be done. And we're bringing that type of thing back.
I like that design. I'm just putting in an apron sink in one of the renovation projects we're doing.
Yeah.
and it's gorgeous. But we got the double, it's a 60/40 sink, and it's going to look at a custom built fireplace that we're building on the other side. But
Great.
if you left, water and sliding
Amazing.
glass doors. So it's a 2000 or 2001 or 98 built house, but it's coming out really nice. We just put the floors in, so it's coming together really nice.
I
So
love it.
where,
Anytime you can get a view from that sink, whether you're engaging a fireplace that's got stone and they're seeing that natural stone pattern, or you're looking at a tree or water, thinking of just the elements and incorporating those into the places that people are going to spend the most time in the house is just a fantastic thing. And it's not this crazy technology. It's not like some sink that's washing the dishes for you or a red light beaming at you. It's just, wow, you're actually enjoying the experience of doing dishes. This is crazy, but it's the way it was done before.
where did you refuse to overspend, and where did you intentionally invest?
Yeah, that's a great one. So we intentionally increased the window count to the point of my GC and subs telling me I'm not going to get the ROI on that. And these are not significant moves. To do the 9 foot slider with three large pieces of glass instead of the 6 foot, $350. It's just an absolute no brainer. But you started adding windows at $350 and it stacks up. We even went and started putting windows in the garage. In these price points, you're walking into the garage space and it's completely dark and you're searching for the light switch. So the garage door has windows at the top of it, and then there's an actual window in the garage on the side looking out. So we said no sacrifice on the windows. We were going to go really overboard to the point of almost insanity in this price point. And it's an easy thing people can copy. I don't think they'll do it because everybody's figuring out, can we get rid of a window? We can't. We only have one window. Can we make it smaller? And I have a friend doing finishes for national builders, and one of the builders told them on the big frameless mirrors that are in the bathrooms, can we take 6 inches off each side? That's the thought process of the nationals. How do we strip things out versus add finishes in? So Windows was a non-compromise, go all in. The lot clearing, it's cheaper to scrape the lots and wipe everything out and start over. We have just been uncompromising there, and we are saving as many trees as possible. Again, to the almost to a financial detriment, but on the flip side, the buyer's experience completely changes. We had one, a heritage oak, I would call it. We had to really move the entire footprint of the home to work it under this tree. And some people would say, get rid of that tree, it's going to fall down in a hurricane. And the type of customer that we have says, the tree made me buy the house. So we are saving the trees on the lots, and we're having to actually come back and pull out a few more trees because of whatever, it just didn't work out, or this tree ended up being too close. But we're starting with going in and tying off trees. I've been taking my 14-year-old son out to the job sites, and we are manually selecting the trees that we're going to save on the lots. So I'm walking the lots and doing that. Those are non-compromises for us. I think, what are the things that we sacrificed? And that's a great question. I would say we're looking at materials and trying to figure out the right materials. There's always higher quality materials. Hardwood floors is something I really wanted to do. And just that install cost of those, you're just adding 10 grand to a house and you're pushing something into a territory that just might not appraise. And is it worth the extra 10 grand? Personally, in my heart, it hurts to do LVP. I like LVP for its durability, and we're in Florida, wet areas and all of that. And hardwood floors, of course, can get scratched, or there's all kinds of problems, but I really like the warmth of real wood. So that's a sacrifice that we had to make, was no hardwoods in this price point. $1 million price point, sure, hardwood floors all day long.
Got you. And I love the idea of having a window in the garage. This is one thing that I've noticed. I'm European, so I park my cars in the garage when I can.
Yeah.
But if you look around my neighborhood, I don't think anybody has their cars in the garage. A lot of people hang out in their garages. So
Right.
the window in the garage is an amazing thing. I think that
Yeah.
it should be done all over the place because it's incredible that you could actually work with natural light inside your garage. I built things there, and I always have to have the lights on or the garage door open. If it's windy and rainy or something, or really hot outside, I can't do that. I also insulated my garage door and
Nice.
above my garage. So when I just open the garage, the door that goes to the house, and have it open for 30 minutes, it cools down in there because it's insulated. So
Yeah.
I can use it as like a workspace for building things. And yeah, a window would have been awesome.
Yeah. In our new model, we're doing a 2.5 car garage. So it balances out the elevation to have the third stall. It's a little recessed on the edge of the house. It's great for golf cart recreation stuff. I'm building a lot of homes in the Citrus County area. And so close to Denellen, close to the Rainbow River, Crystal River. So people have paddle boards and kayaks and things like that. So our new version, our new model has that third half space in there, and the window is right on that edge. So it could also be a great place for a workshop or that sort of thing. And then we are putting a sauna in the new model as well. And so that could be an option. We're working through how that's going to happen. But having a sauna as what is the one wellness appliance that has the greatest impact. And all my research is it comes down to the sauna. That's where you can really make an impact. So we tested out all the saunas. Sunlighten is probably the best, the infrared sauna, two person. So our model's going to have that in there, and we're going to potentially have that thrown in as a something that won't impact the appraisal, but possibly throw that in. So we're working through all that, but I really think the garage is like this underutilized space. So we'll probably epoxy the floor, maybe using some natural colors versus the classic manly gray and black type stuff, and warm that space up. Got the windows, got the windowed garage door, the sauna, and just transform that space and make it a little bit more comfortable, a place that you might want to hang out, like you're saying.
That's awesome. I love that idea. What materials consistently outperform their price point?
Some of it is quartz for sure. In the kitchen, the quartz is just a no brainer. It's just a very small iteration, small bump from granite. And it just blows my mind when I see Formica in brand new homes from some of these builders as they're just trying to value engineer. And then the next iteration is granite, and that's okay, but it has a dated appearance to it. And you can get entry level quartz at a really good price right now. So why not just do that? We're stepping up on the quartz, but entry level on our lower cost models, and then a nicer, more like a Calcutta with a warm veining in it as opposed to the grays. That's the thing. The other thing that I would say really is impactful that we have done a standard with, I think the ROI is there. I know it's there. I haven't quantified it over a lot of homes, but on the ones we've done it on, it's been really impactful. Is we're doing tongue and groove ceilings on the front porch and the lanai. Those are standard. So you have two very usable spaces that have tongue and groove on the ceiling. And then we've done it in the primary bedroom on our first models. And so all of them are going to have a wood element on the ceiling in the primary bedroom. So we have a trade ceiling there. Our new models got wooden beams across, but we did some research on wood, and what one great article I found was there's a children's hospital in Europe that they started putting wood on the ceilings in all the patient rooms. The kids were healing faster. Like scientifically, they're getting out of the hospital a day early. And it's a natural thing that humans want to look at timber. We are, before all the creature comforts, we were living in nature. We're staring at trees all day. And guess what? The body responds to that. And so there's healing properties in timber without getting off the rails into this stuff. But it really is medically proven at this point. And so you're seeing a lot of places, even airports and things, are trying to renovate and do wood ceilings and that sort of thing. So the concept is you wake up in the morning and you're staring at timber. And that is a great way to start your day. And it's a great way to end your day. So that for us, people have walked in and said, gotta have it. And I think there's those concepts where you have to have a little bit of sizzle in the home. And what's better to me is having something that has medically proven to help your wellness and your overall well-being versus a light fixture that's just like very glammy and grabbing your attention so you don't see all the other imperfections in the home. You're doing this thing that actually has a real cost to do tongue and groove. And to do it outside when you're sitting there on your front porch and looking up and seeing that, again, it's $1 million home type thing that we're bringing into the 300K home space. So I would say those are the things that have been really impactful. And of course, all the extra windows,
I love
$350 for that.
I love the wood idea. I have it in my bedroom. I built a slat, handed the slat wall from
Nice.
base of the bed all the way up to the ceiling, and then on the ceiling part, we have tray ceiling up to the tray basically, and it has this amazing spa feel. You know, like you
Yes.
go, I feel like I want to relax here, and that's what your bedroom's supposed to be like. So, 100%, I love it.
The goal is to turn these homes into a sanctuary.
Yeah,
And the marketplace is trying to commoditize the home. And they're telling us, live in this mass produced thing. It's cheap, it's energy efficient, and it's really not how we're supposed, it's not really how we're wired. And so for a large segment of the population, that's what they're going to do. And our goal is to differentiate in the marketplace. And I think it's exactly as you just said. You're laying in bed and you feel like you're in a spa and you really can relax as opposed to just staring at drywall.
that's the same thing they did to our food. If you think about it,
Yeah.
here's the canned soup, here's the pre-made food. Just put it in the micro, plastics or not, doesn't matter. Just do it. So everything was mass produced to accommodate a comfortable lifestyle, but it is really unhealthy. So if you look at the grand scheme of things and what's happening in housing market with mass produced homes, you're probably detrimental to your own health by moving into a house like that and not creating a good, safe space for you that you feel good in and feel comfortable to be around. And you don't want to really leave because it's just so comfortable here. I love it.
Exactly. It's a place you look forward to going when you come home
Yeah.
from work, if you work outside the home, and people look forward to visiting. And it's a feeling. It's not, okay, here's this box you live in. Guess what? It was cheaper than these other boxes. We're trying to sell you the cheapest box. Our box is cheaper than the next box. And that's just not how we're looking at it. And frankly, I can't compete with
It's
a
hard.
national home builder anyway. So I don't want to.
And it's hard to put a price tag on that because who, in my opinion, and this is what I always tell my wife, if it's about health, it doesn't matter how much it costs. Really, you're going to spend the money on it. So think about this. If you feel good somewhere, that's going to affect your health. If you feel miserable somewhere, it's going to affect your health. So might as
Yes.
well. And it's not that. And in your case, which is amazing, and this is what I mentioned earlier, that you're doing this wellness home style in an affordable price range. Amazing. This is what people need. I hope one day you can mass produce it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the national builders, or they start thinking like that instead of the bottom dollar.
Yeah, I think if we can influence other people to have a take off of this, that would be an achievement. And I don't know, ramping it up, I'd like to do that. I know I have the capacity to do a lot of homes, and for us, it's a little pioneering, it's a little bit of an experiment, but I'm doing it because I want to do it. I think that's my biggest driver is how can I've been in real estate over 20 years, Lancelot, and I've done thousands of transactions. And what can I do? How do I give back? And can I create sanctuaries for people that wouldn't otherwise have that even as an option? And so that's one way that we're giving back and being impactful.
I love it, man. I love it. Why do natural light, mature trees, and nature fractals outperform expensive wellness tech?
Yes. Yeah. I think it just goes back to these things are what's natural is my thought. What's been around, what has stood the test of time. I'm a big believer in the Lindy theory, and the Lindy theory essentially states that if something has been around a long time, its likelihood is to continue being around. It's the reason that a 90-year-old has the potential to reach age 100 more so than a newborn. A newborn hasn't lived through all the car accidents and famines and wars and all of that, whereas the 90-year-old person has already done all that. Like the odds of them getting to 100 is much higher. And if you look at the top performing companies that were around 100 years ago, a lot of those are still in the S&P 500. It's like they're still there, and they're still going to be there 20, 30 years from now. So I like that aspect of it, and it's kind of my belief in the state of Florida. If you look back since the invention of air conditioning, the population has just been this linear up and to the right kind of motion, and that's going to continue, in my opinion, for decades. So how do we look at housing? How do we look at wellness? Okay, the things that have been around and stood the test of time, a front porch just doesn't seem a big innovation, but most new homes don't have it, or they have one and it's literally decorative. It's literally to say there's a front porch, even though you can't use it. And a 300K price point, it's unusable. It's 4 feet deep, and you're like, nobody's comfortable being in that space. And so for us, we had to change the roof truss system to get a usable porch. So we think things like that, things like natural light, wherever you go and you experience those things, they feel good. I don't know if cold plunges are going to be all the rage 10 years from now. It seems a little trendy. I think there's clear health benefits to it, but we wanted to start with the hard coded elements that it will not change. Like it will still be a thing to have lots of windows and see trees and nature in your yard. I just don't see a world where it's, guess what? After thousands of years, we've discovered that trees are not good for you to look at. We're getting rid of windows. These things sound really basic, but everyone's figuring out how do we just value engineer and get less of that because we can save money on the build. So I'm not against saunas and cold plunges and red light therapy. I just think they're going to come and go in different waves. And I would hate to be equipping the home fully with these things and making the home more about that versus these things that you see in an early 1900s home. When people walk around in a turn of the century 1900s home, they're like, oh, this is amazing. And the windows and the columns and oh, I love this front porch. You hear people say that on a craftsman home all the time. Why don't we do this anymore? And by the way, something like a front porch is conducive to getting to know your neighbors, as opposed to our world is garage forward, pull in there. Maybe you're hanging out in your backyard, but you're not really engaging with people on the street much. And the front porch allows you to do that. So we are going to be putting together some wellness appliance packages that can be add-ons that might include that red light wall built in or different components like we talked about the sauna. But we're not making that.
Well, saunas, my friend, I just looked it up, are 7,000 to 10,000 years. We've been using saunas for 7,000 to 10,000 years. So that's right. One of those components I think that you could definitely stick in there.
Yes. No, that's a great point. And it hasn't really been an option for the average person, right?
No, it's not. I would love one in my house, man.
Yep.
Me and my wife constantly talk about it, but then what are we going to do? Because we have two windows in our back. Like our master bedroom looks out into the backyard, and we have two windows there. And I said, well, the only place we can put this, because there's one outlet right in between the two windows. I said, only place we can put it is here. But then I have to build a roof that comes out to cover it to not have it damaged by rain and the elements. And I've been thinking about it really hard. And I think I'm going to make it happen at one point if we keep staying in this house. But it's also not our forever home. I know that.
Right.
So it's, should I put it in? Should I not put it in? How long are we going to stay? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like a lot of the homes are, and I think one of the challenges for us is, our friction points for me personally is I want to do more. And I also realize I could just instantly jump to $500,000 if I do all the things I want to do. And now I'm getting away from that mission purpose. But us putting the sauna in the garage, again, walking into your garage to get into a sauna might not be like the best experience, but I think once you're in that sauna, you're getting those benefits. So we're working through some of these things, but it's a really good point. That's something that's been around. It stood the test of time, maybe not in the iteration we see it today, but maybe in more of a bathhouse type concept or whatever.
We're doing it. The Hungarians were doing it.
Yeah.
That's just past like 500 to 1,000. Before that, it was probably Egyptians. The Romans had bathhouses.
Yeah.
That had steaming hot water and steam rooms, et cetera, et cetera.
We're just waking up to it in the U.S. But something
exactly.
This is a huge benefit.
Me as a European, I've been going to saunas since I was a kid. It's a place where you meet other people, you talk and socialize, and it has a good health benefit. I'm like, oh my God. We do it every day. I'm at the gym. I go to the sauna for 15, 20 minutes. Like it's a must.
It's a clinically proven thing. And again, that's the one thing we're trying to work into it. And of course, in a 300K home, a really good sauna is like $7,000 to $10,000, right?
I know. So
working through that, there are some really unique alternatives out there, but it's something that we're continuing to figure out how to make it work.
It'll be cool when you do that. And you're grabbing this whole thing, this wellness thing at the perfect timing, because everybody's about wellness now. I think at least anybody who I speak to is in wellness or want to have a better life, because we have the person in charge of our, what's his name? Kennedy.
Yeah.
She's a big health advocate and finally changing things around for our food, that should have been done a long time ago.
I love it. And he's 70 years old doing pull-ups and you're saying, I can get behind this, right?
Yeah, definitely. man. I love the guy. He's looking out for us, and I think we
Yeah.
need that. I know
Yeah.
we don't talk about politics, but I like how he's not really. He's in my eyes, he seems apolitical. He's all about health.
Yes. Yeah.
He doesn't seem like he's part of any party. He's just. I am concerned about people living healthy, and that matters to me. It feels like he's a genuine person about that.
Absolutely.
And as he's ramping up his things, other people are Tony Robbins talking a lot about health and how you should be doing things to keep healthy. And you go on a fast every once in a while. It was implemented for thousands of years. It was in the Bible, for God's sakes. You're supposed to fast before Easter,
Yeah.
and there's a reason for that. It's good for your body to not eat for X amount of days. I'm not saying go on a 30-day binge without eating, but try it small. Try it 24 hours or 48 hours or however much you can, and just only put water in your system and some salts to make sure that keep up the electrolytes and everything. But
I absolutely love that. And I think the more that we're just thinking, or the more we're wellness minded, the better. And for it to not be part of your home is, to me, it's like there's all this stuff on Instagram. You can click and buy whatever supplement or widget that's like promoting wellness, but people need to be looking at the structure they spend their time in.
definitely, I agree 100%, because that's where you spend most of your time. You're going to be at home. You have to be in a good environment to keep healthy too. And it solves almost every major issue that you could have down the line. So when you become 60, 70, like, oh, I have this, I have that, I have diabetes, I have Alzheimer's is coming in. It all comes from how you lived. A lot of those illnesses are coming from how you live. And I'm sorry, I could rant about this for a long time because I'm really into
I'm with you. It's one of the reasons we wanted to make sure that the materials we're using all hit, it's called Green Guard Gold standard. So it's not putting off any VOCs. You're not inhaling things that are unhealthy. So it's paint, no VOC paint. We've got no VOC on the LVP floor. So even though it's a man-made material, that's where a lot of your VOC issues come from. If you're using the wrong materials and stuff that's just putting off chemicals as it sits there. So it's paint, it's flooring. We've got Green Guard Gold on our countertops, on our cabinets, even our roofing materials. And then our front elevation, we have Hardy board siding. And of course, James Hardy is the brand, the gold standard there. That's also Green Guard Gold. So we're making sure that all the materials up and down, like there are cheaper flooring types to put in, or LVP, there's cheaper LVP that you can get for $1 less a foot. But guess what? It's putting off unsafe chemicals into the air. Okay, we don't want that. And so these are things that we think hard-coded elements will override some of the widgets. And I'm going to let other people promote and tell you why their widget's better than another widget, why you need this one in the home. But I want to control the structure. I want to take the home and make it a sanctuary.
Correct. I love that. So what's the long-term ROI of preserving mature trees, even when it costs more upfront?
It's a little hard to quantify, but I can tell you that the neighborhood I live in was all about saving trees. There's even a couple of oaks they moved 10 years ago to preserve that tree. And people in the values have repositioned around the trees. I'm in Winter Garden where I live, and it's a historic area. I'm on the Architecture Review Historic Preservation Board for the city of Winter Garden. I'm the chair of that board, and I've been on that board for 10 years. And we are absolutely about saving the trees. We know that value repositions around that, and it creates character, and people buy character, and the ROI is very high on character, to the point where our main street here in Winter Garden, the rents are hitting $50 a foot triple net because of character, because of trees. And so we want to continue that. And I wanted to take those types of concepts and bring them over to where I'm building. And I think of just the resale values in my own neighborhood, and the homes that engage a tree or look at an epic tree, they sell for more. People will kill for a tree. And the reason for that is that tree, the only way to get it to where it was time. And time's the one thing you can't really pay for. If you want to put a big oak tree in your front yard, you might pay $10,000 to $20,000, and it won't be that epic heritage tree, but it'll be a mature tree. And what you did was buy time. And so it's hard to quantify the value of time. but we know that people will pay big money to move an oak tree into a wealthy homeowner's property to get that experience where it didn't exist. So we know that maintaining these trees is creating that effect as well. And if we're backing up to a nature focused area, a bike trail, a golf course, something like that, if we're fencing, we'll do a 4-foot aluminum fence on the back if we're going to do a fence on that property to maintain the view of those trees. So whether it's trees on the lot or trees off the lot, our goal is to engage them, and we know that that ROI is there. I just can't tell you in a dollar per caliper or anything like that, but there's a reason there's tree farms and people pay big money for mature trees.
Oh, for sure. How are buyers responding emotionally to wellness-focused homes?
So I think what's interesting is we've seen a spectrum of buyers, and while I haven't done a tremendous volume of these, we had one lady, for example, came in to our Parade of Homes house and just fell in love with the natural light. And so we had a house that was started where it was about a half an acre lot, and we carved a tunnel through Florida pines and then created a clearing, and we called that home Hidden Meadow. And by the way, Lancelot, every home has its own name, its own brand that's specific to its lot conditions. So one house was called One Fine Oak, and it had this epic oak tree hanging over, and that's one where we had to really shift the house around. So we're trying to create a personality to each home. Homeowner can rename it. We don't care about that. But when we're building it, each home tells a story. And so we want the buyers to connect with the home that they connect with the story the most. And it's usually a lot condition scenario where with your typical production builders, people aren't really connecting to the story of that home. But we think it starts with the land. And I grew up on a farm in South Dakota. And so land is just in my DNA. And I really am selective with the lots. And we think people are getting an emotional connection to that lot, the same way I got an emotional connection to the lot where I built my home. And it's just a scenario where you walk onto that property and you feel something different. And it's hard to do that in social media. There's things that are just easier to sell online. And as being in real estate, houses are hard to sell online. You need to get people to the property. So we have had people, I've got a lady coming up from Naples this week, and she saw that we were doing all the building materials having no VOCs on them, no chemicals coming off them, that we're using healthy materials. And she really wanted that. She had some health issues in the past and wants to be in a very healthy environment. Unfortunately, due to divorce, she's got a limited budget. And so coming up from Naples, she's starting over, and her budget being in this $300K price point, and us in the quality of the materials and the visual aspects we've been presenting, that connected to her emotionally, especially with the healthy materials. So we know that that works, and I think we'll hear a lot of unique stories over time.
So for agents and investors listening, why should wellness matter financially?
Right. It's proven that wellness-driven products, especially real estate, sells at a premium. People will go to a resort that is wellness-driven, and true wellness, not you've got one massage table and now you're a wellness resort. So we've got a girl on our team who's a well-certified interior designer, and there's a certification it's called, and it's something that's growing. It's pretty intense to get that, but you need to know that whatever structure you're designing has clean air, clean water, focuses on sound and light. And so all these elements that go into building the home, if you can achieve a well certification from a resort or a commercial building, the rents are proven to be much higher. Think of it as you have LEED certification for energy as the certification for wellness. And right now it's at a hospitality level, it's at a commercial property level, and they're rolling it out on a residential level. You're hitting like hundreds of different points. We're not going to hit that yet. It's not really at the single family home basis, but we can take those elements that are in the commercial buildings, in the resorts and hospitality sector and say, okay, there's 150 points here. We're going to try to hit 70 of those. Next year, can we hit 75? Can we hit 80? And that certification is starting to get some clarity on single family residential. It's a little murky right now, but they're advancing pretty rapidly in that. So I'm seeing people are going to be more well certified, and single family homes will function the way commercial buildings do, where they're selling at a 30% premium if they can hit that certification. So once that certification is viable for single family homes and really crystallized, we are going to be aggressively trying to hit that. I don't know if we can hit it in a 350 price point. A lot of it might be a very high end HVAC system that is $20,000, and that's just not going to work in this price point. But we can put in the clean air filter. So we might not get the well certified point, but we can prove that the air is just as clean in this with this HVAC system. And so I have something called Whoosh right now, which is a air filter. And so we've tested it out in our office. We're rolling it out into our homes, but it's a Bluetooth HVAC filter. You can pull it up on an app and you can see your air quality inside the space. And you can see that air quality change. And so where the air wasn't really healthy in our office, about 4 days after installing the Whoosh system, it is perfection air quality in this space. So we're rolling that out as well. But we know it's going to trade at a premium. How much of a premium? We don't know that yet. But people will pay more to stay at a wellness resort. They'll pay more for a wellness home. Once that's out there and proven, yeah, it'll happen.
Do you believe wellness will soon be an expectation, not an upgrade?
I think for a certain segment, it'll be an expectation. I think the narrative from the national home builders, you're in Central Florida, I'm in Central Florida. This market is one of the most infiltrated by national home builders. I read they have something like 80% of the market. They are going to have their own spin on what that is. And that will be their narrative, that they'll use their huge marketing budgets to say, we're a wellness home. It may not be a well certified, it may have certain elements, but I can tell you they will do it in such a value engineered way that you're buying into marketing language as opposed to historic things. They're not going to increase the natural light substantially, is my opinion. And I think they're just going to they're going to do gimmicky things. They're going to give some wellness appliances and drop in a red light therapy toaster or something that's going to allow them to pitch the home as wellness.
Where do you see wellness focused housing heading over the next 3 to 5 years?
I think it's just going to be a big part of the conversation, and people are going to be demanding things. And I think it's going to depend if the wellness, I call it the wellness appliance. I don't know if that's the right category, but let's just say your red light therapies, your cold plunges, saunas, et cetera, which some of that stuff is, like you said, saunas have been around, stood the test of time. It might be this commoditized structure and they drop a sauna in, and now you feel like you have this wellness home. And so it really needs to be a groundswell, I think, of people saying, I want better overall finishes in the home. I want the nature of fractals. I want to see nature inside my home. I want to see nature when I look outside the home. I don't want to see the wall that's 8 feet away of my neighboring property. And I'm hopeful that the market will demand something better than what's been provided. And what, to me, the conversation looks a little flimsy right now, but I'm hoping that the groundswell gets to the point where people are saying, do better, build a better structure. Thanks for the red light therapy wall in my master closet, but build me a better structure.
Got you. Now, what advice would you give builders who want to start but feel constrained by cost?
I think it's a little bit, bless you.
Thank you.
I think builders are going to have to take some risk and know that if you do this, you're going to get more for the house. And I think that risk is something that you can't really do it halfway. And I think just adding a window here and there, or having a small stoop that maybe you can put one chair in, I'm sorry, that's not a front porch. Like, you can't really do it halfway. I've seen a couple builders in our area, a really great one that has a larger home footprint, and they're doing a lot of natural materials in the house. And I'm really happy to see that. And it's tongue and groove ceilings and things. So those are big expenses. And that builder clearly sees the benefit of doing it. So I think it's a taking the plunge aspect, but it's really hard to say we're just going to add a couple sizzle items. And I've seen this a lot with home renovations where it's a razzmatazz light fixture. It's just doing it halfway instead of saying we're going to have all the windows trimmed out, or we're going to make a really great kitchen that's conducive to cooking instead of just putting in a shiny faucet. So I think it's going to be a sacrifice and having some blind faith that it's going to work.
Awesome. So Ryan, before we wrap up, tell us about the upcoming Sunworth Homes, model homes in Ocala. What makes these projects the next evolution of wellness-focused entry-level housing?
Yeah. The big change from our last iteration is bringing in nature fractals into the house. The best way I can explain this is nature is all around us. Our interior design girl who's well certified, she really shocked me the first time I saw this, but it was a fingerprint on one side of the screen and a cross section of a tree on the other side, and you could almost not tell them apart. And it shows that nature we're part of it. And in my house, I did things like wallpaper that would be grass cloth and different things to bring nature into the house using my previous designer. And I had this concept of doing it. So we're going to bring that next aspect of what you're seeing in $1 million homes into the same price point. Nature fractals, it seems easy to do. You put a shower tile that has like a leaf pattern in it and you're like, done. There's a ratio, there's like a golden ratio of this where you have not enough where it doesn't matter, or you have too much nature in the house that the mind doesn't calm. And so the research, we've deep dove onto all this to get to the right ratio of having a lot of nature patterns throughout the house, but not too many. So you're going to see it in light fixtures, you're going to see it in tile patterns, you're going to see it in the wood beams. There's going to be little glimpses of nature throughout the home that are going to hit the right ratio. So when you walk in the home, it puts you at ease and you feel like there's something really special that happened here, and it's blending the interior and the exterior and nature all together while it's still being a sanctuary for somebody. So those are going to be the big things, and it's going to be noticeable. The new model has a fireplace. We are having a nice stone fireplace in it, and at a $349.9 price point with a 2.5 stall garage, 1,500 square feet on a lot overlooking a golf course that's engaging some major oak trees. So you're seeing these oak trees on the golf course. So a golf front lot, it's going to be pretty special in my opinion. And a lot of the homes around us are going to be more of a $300K price point. So we're going to be up a little bit higher. We're going to continue building our 309 to 315 version 1. But this version 2 is going to be somebody who wants an epic lot, wants that extra stall garage, and is seeing nature everywhere in the home. That's what you're going to see, Lancelot.
Thank you very much. Today's conversation proves something important. Wellness in housing isn't about spending more. It's about designing smarter, respecting nature, and understanding how people actually live. Ryan Hinricher and Sunworth Homes are showing us that attainable housing and thoughtful design don't have to live in separate worlds. If you found value in this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who cares about the future of housing. Ryan, thank you for being here and for pushing this industry forward. I'm Lancelot Lenard, and this is the Real Estate Roundtable. We'll see you at the next episode. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you for joining us on Sir Lancelot's Real Estate Roundtable, where we've unveiled the mysteries of real estate together. Remember, in this kingdom of possibilities, every dream home is just a discussion away. I can help your real estate dreams come true. Just call me at 786-449-7518. Until our next roundtable, may your ventures be prosperous and your homes be filled with love and joy. Farewell, fellow knights of real estate.